Hey guys, it's Mike with another King Arthur Legends Rise video. Got a few more requests to look over some Forbidden Dungeon levels, as well as jump into Hall of Conquerors and take a peek at some of the elite teams out there and how I would run them if I had the pieces. If you have particular areas in the game you're getting hung up on or just want my feedback or whatever the case is, throw it in the comments below. I try to get to all of them as best I can, try to make videos in a timely fashion if I can, just to help you guys out, and it gives me something to do, so it's pretty fun. So I want to start over here in Forbidden Dungeon and specifically look at floor 67. Seems to be a challenging one for some folks out there, so we're going to go ahead and take a peek at it. In my previous video, I really highlighted this team for Forbidden Dungeon just because I feel like it's going to get you through a majority of content. Even this content here where Vivian is going to turn all of Lancelot's dots into heals over time, with Merlin's freezes coming in, it's still going to allow you to get through this level, even with that same strategy. As we get into the skills that we're running with this team, and it's going to be true across the board, we're going to go with Lancelot's A3 to get those burns up there. Want him in a corrosion set to get extra dots as well. We're going to spam Morgan's A2, we're going to Nika's A3, and then Merlin's A3 for the freezes. You do want to get that booked out. It's going to increase your chances of landing that freeze, I think, by 20%. So it starts at 35 and goes up to 55, if I remember correctly. Which is going to be a really big win when you're trying to do crowd control. As far as speeds go, you want a super fast Morgan. I mean, I'd well over 200 if you can get her upwards of 250 to 300. That's going to be a big win for you because she's going to be pulling turn meter back. You're going to be able to kind of roll through this. And you can see with Merlin's freezes coming in here, Vivian's not even going to get the opportunity to convert these dots into damage over time before the team is destroyed. So I personally like to lean towards focusing on a particular team instead of specific teams for each level. And the reason for that, as your early game, you're going to have a tough time spreading out all those resources. So if you can focus your attention on 4, 5, maybe 6 players to do a majority of content, that'll be a great way for you to kind of maximize the rewards, but the resources you're getting in the game, and get a little bit further, a little faster. If I were building a team specifically for this content, I might do something like this, where I have a damage dealer and try to keep in front of them and lap with the enemy, not giving them a lot of turns, and then my healer's in there to make me more tanky as well as provide heals. So we can give this a shot and see how this one works. And on this, you could kind of go either way with Bedivere. You could go for the AoE ability, and if you're needing vigor, then maybe go to the A2 and focus on a specific enemy, and then you're going to target the same enemy Morgan is landing the defense down and increase damage taken. So if you started the battle like this here, and then I'd probably start with the healer themselves. I took it off auto, but we'll get it back on auto. She did land that ability, so we'll go ahead and start on Vivian herself, and hopefully Bedivere can do some serious damage and take her out of the thing right away. My Bedivere is probably smacking pretty good. Then in this space, what I would do is move over to the next affinity that your damage dealer is positive for. So that way you're going to take them out quickly. I got to turn this off. I'm going to kill everybody. And then from here, I would move to your neutral affinity and then your negative affinity for your damage dealer. And the reason you do that is just to move through them a little quicker, and it puts a little less stress on everybody, puts less stress on having to be super fast, so you're lapping them as much because you're taking them out a little faster, all those good things. But initially I do start with the healer, and the reason for that is just in case you're not doing a lot of damage. If the healer comes in and starts topping everybody off, it's going to be a lot extra time that you're going to be trying to stay alive. If you don't have Sergius built out yet with his Flame Relic and you're not trying to win the speed race, I might go for a little more durability here. You could grab Merlin as a defense lead. You could grab Brennan as a defense lead, and then come in with Cormac as a damage dealer, and then probably a Turin would do the trick. If you're running Turin, her heals might not be as big as Nika's, so having Brennan there for extra defense, if you happen to have Brennan, would be a good way to go. And so there's a couple different ways, and in this case you're kind of going for more survivability and just kind of, you're going to slowly but surely pick them apart. I would probably start with early Brendan on his A2, so you get a little bit of taunt going on. Later on his A3, he does, I think, 60% chance of landing taunt when you get his skills up, or I think Chivalry level 4 or 5 you pick that up. But that could be a big win. Cormac, you're just going to do his big ability to nuke, and then Turin, you're going to want to use her heals. All of the characters that we've talked about thus far you want them in a Vigor set. There are basically, we got our defense over here. We'll try to kill this guy first. But there's no exceptions to that rule, especially your healer. You're going to want to be able to heal every time. You want your damage dealer to be able to nuke every time and go through it. So you're going to want to put them in Vigor sets. If you need to break up the other pieces, you could definitely do so. But that's going to be a great way for you to be able to do your abilities while you're fighting. Because if you're just running A1s, it's going to be really hard to beat a lot of content. So there's some ideas to get you through hopefully level 67 and pressing on a little bit in the account. And those ideas can kind of spread out as you start to approach other challenges along the way. But I think those core 4 are going to be a huge benefit if you start there and allocating resources in that direction. It'll probably take you pretty far into Forbidden Dungeon. I personally have been stuck on Forbidden Dungeon stage 25 for a little bit here. Honestly, I haven't really put a lot of time. I think the first day I was here, I tried it 4 or 5 times, and then ever since then, I've been kind of in a hurry. So I've just been doing the auto battles through stage 24. But this level does seem to be pretty difficult for me. One of the challenging parts about it is you are required to use only Storm and Flame heroes, so you can't use any Frost. Which the part there that kind of I struggle with is I don't have really good crowd control in either of those places. So I can use my core 4, but I can't use Merlin. So if I was utilizing my core 4, I might be able to throw in Flame Merlin, but he doesn't do any crowd control on that A3. So on his third ability for the Flame Relic, he's actually doing an attack gauge disruption where they can't get sped up or whatever the case is, which could find its home in some sort of team somewhere, but unfortunately on this it's not going to be super helpful. I could move over and just spam his A1 and try to get that 35% chance for stun, but it's probably not going to be the best solution. So I've actually been running my Anya in here with her counter strike on her Storm Relic, and that seems to be giving me my best chance, but I haven't been able to beat it yet. So we'll run a battle real quick, see if this has any hope, and then we'll jump into the Hall of Conquerors. The tough thing is we get this brainwash ability here, and then we have counter ups, and then we start striking our own people, putting them to sleep, counter striking. It's kind of an RNG nightmare. You also get silenced here where you're going to miss out on some heals. The nice thing with this particular team is you got Nika doing heals and you have Anya doing pretty small heals, but a little bit to help out as well. But so far, Morgan has been completely taken out of whack here. She hasn't landed any of her defense downs. So it's not looking super good at this point. I am noticing they're putting a lot of marks up on themselves, so maybe bringing in Iwrit might be a better fit here. So we put together kind of a different team here with Nika and then Iwrit with those marks going up. It looks like they're putting those on themselves, which allows her to do a little more damage. Could also take out Anya and put Lancelot back in potentially, but I think this team, I got to get her in her Flame Relic here, because otherwise it's not going to let me play it. It makes it kind of tough. So we're going to go ahead and give this a shot and see how this goes. So this team seems a little tankier. I think that with the brainwash going in on Iwrit, the team functions a little better because we're not missing out on heals and stuns on Nika. We got our defense down coming in from Morgan. I don't know if it's going to be enough because there's just a lot of heals and a lot of tankiness going on here. And I'm not sure if I'll be able to stay alive long enough. But potentially if I could get a good solid hit, the whole purpose of bringing her in is to help with all these marks going on here. She happened to hit Anya, who got a counter strike out of it, so that kind of worked in our favor. But if we could kind of tickle him to death, we might be able to get through it. Here we go. If we can get Rience down, I think that would be a pretty big win. There he goes. Okay, so now we're going to focus our attention over here to the person with the next lowest health. And at this point, I'm just hoping that without Rience in there doing the damage, that potentially I'll be able to stay in front of the heals with Nika And then as I bring them down one by one, it'll just get easier and easier. But this entire time, Iwert's had this puppet mastery thing going on. I think that's something that Rience puts in right in the beginning of battle. I guess it goes throughout the entire battle. But we got another one down, so we're going to come over here where we don't have a shield. Hopefully get that defense down on Morgan this time. And I think we should be okay at this point. Just because I don't know they're going to be able to do enough damage between the two of them to actually bring me down. So Nika should be able to stay in front of it. I don't think either of them are going to be able to one-shot me at this point. Could be wrong. We could find out. So we'll see if this actually eventually tickles him to death. And there I was. So he came in with two different abilities and actually took out my Morgan, which isn't necessarily worst case scenario. Nika would definitely be the end of the run because Nika can heal us up again and get us back to topped off. This battle is going to take a lot longer without Morgan because she's not putting up the defense down and the increased damage taken. And with these guys and their heals and shields that they put on each other, I don't know that I'm actually doing enough damage to get through them. So we'll kind of see if we happen. So we got the shield going on now. Dropped 3% with Nika's ability there. Hopefully we can get through it, but it's looking like they just took out Iwert as well, so this is looking pretty bad. Yeah, they end up stunning my Nika. She didn't get a heal in, and that was the end of that. We're going to go ahead and retry one more time, except instead of going after Rience right away, I'm actually going to come over here and go after this guy in the corner and see if we can take him out first. Maybe that'll make the difference as far as getting through this team. The other thing that could be worth trying is actually taking the healer out first and getting that defense down on them right away, and potentially even bringing in Brennan, who can do some heal disruptions and try to keep them from actually getting all these benefits from the heals that are coming across here. But hopefully we can get one of these guys down before we die and get some heals in from Nika. I could probably actually, now that I'm not using her Frost Relic, go back into her kit and step up her recovery. I don't know if you guys remember, but I actually had her recovery pretty low. We're going to actually go after this guy here, and I think our AoE will get that guy done. So perfect. So I have her recovery down like 40%, and her Flame Relic doesn't do quite as big a heals as her Frost Relic does, but I'm not able to use it in this fight. So maybe regearing Nika a little bit might be the move that I need to do to actually get through this. So we jump back in, try this. This will be the last time. I just want to see if I can get through it, getting that defense down and the increased damage taken on their healer, and see if we can get through it. It looks like they kind of put this on the same character every time. So if you're using a particular character that's not working, changing your lineup might change who's they're actually doing. We're so close to taking him out right there. All right, so now he's down. Let's go ahead and see about taking Rience out of here and then kind of working our way through. But that theoretically should have taken care of their healer. So now it should be a little easier to get through them, but we'll see. I've been surprised by each of these characters hitting really hard at given times. This guy put a shield up on himself, but he also puts poisons on himself, so he kind of helps take himself out of it. But hopefully we can get through. These guys are kind of coming down now that we got the healer down. I think that might just be the trick, is you got to go after that healer first, because they're just doing a lot of work to keep that team alive. But I think this might actually do it. I think we might get through it this time. Ooh, and that guy just smacked and took out my Iwert's, so that's a little bit of a bummer. But we are so close to getting everybody dead, so hopefully we can make it happen. We did get that Strife ability kick in from killing an enemy, and then we got a little extra turn meter by Morgan going twice. So that was a big win there. I think we got it. We're going to go ahead and knock this guy out, and we're moving on to stage 26. But jumping over into Hall of Conquerors, we got less than a day going on. By the time this video uploads, it'll probably be half that time. It just takes me a while to get things edited and then uploaded. My upload speeds are pretty brutal. But I wanted to talk about each of the teams that I would try to put together if I had the people to do it, and how I would run them. So for Blazing Gorgos, this would be the team that I would like to run if I had all of the pieces. So I'd run my Flame Merlin, who I do have as my lead for that extra defense, just keeping everybody alive. I would run my Vivian there in her Frost Relic, and then Hild in her Frost, and Lancelot in his Frost. I think that particular team seems to be where everybody's finding the most success. And as long as you can keep everybody alive for the full 200 turns, my guess is you're going to get pretty high up there as far as the damage that you're bringing on. So really that is the team I'm running, with the exception of Lancelot. I don't have his Frost Relic. So ultimately the team is going to function very similarly. The main difference is on the Frost Relic for Lancelot, you actually want to run his A2 because he lands a lot more chill dots with his A2 than he does with the A3 on his Flame Relic. So that's where you're going to really see that benefit kick in, where you're just getting more and more dots on him, doing more damage to Gorgos, as well as getting more dot explosion going on with with Hild. The other thing is with Vivian, with her Frost Relic, her A2 also drops a chill, which is going to again just add another dot damage that's going to hit Blazing Gorgos, as well as give one more dot for Hild to explode. So those three things running simultaneously are really going to do a great job. That being said, Hild being on level 5 for Chivalry is probably going to be pretty necessary. So, my previous video we talked about how you have to get her Chivalries up for that dot explosion to really do good work. So I think that that's probably going to be fairly necessary for this team to be the best functioning. If you don't have your Hild on Chivalry 5, you might throw in a Rosier or a Anguish in this space and spam their A3s and see if they do more damage for you than Hild just by stacking up dots as opposed to exploding them. The other thing I'd throw out there is if you have the opportunity to get in here and get all of your relics up to level 60 fully awakened and all of your champions as well, it's going to make a big difference as far as the stats that you get along the way. So you see my Merlin here, I need 3 awakening levels. There's a lot of HP, defense, and attack stats sitting right here that I don't have on my Merlin. So if I'm struggling to keep him alive during all 200 turns of Gorgos, that could be part of the thing where it's like, hey, if I could just get those, spend a little bit of time over in Terras the Stormcat and get that knocked out, probably going to push me a little further and get me a few more hearts. The other thing that makes a big difference is having your abilities actually stepped up. So I was lucky enough to get the A2, which is what we're spamming with Merlin with the Flame Relic, maxed out. But eventually what you want is this extra turn is going to be the biggest part of it. The extra damage is always helpful when you're going 200 turns with Blazing Gorgos, but you really want that Phoenix Ashes to go on for 2 turns where it's going to heal your folks, help keep them alive. Seeing how Vivian's not coming in with the big heals with her A2 on the Frost Relic. She's only converting dots to gain recovery over time. So this is going to be necessary for keeping your team alive. And then also picking up that added attack increase, especially for Hild and her damage that she's doing. So getting that on your allies is going to be a big win as far as the 200 turns of damage that they're bringing into the table. As I look at Ciaran, I feel like the Storm Gilroy is really a big win. My guess is we're going to need a high Chivalry level for this to be functional, and I think the Storm Relic's going to be required. This particular team found pretty good success without him, just swapped him out with Tristan, and then utilized their Revenant Merlin. Revenant Merlin, I would imagine, needs to be Chivalry level 4 or 5, just to get all of her kit opened up so that she's doing all the things. And just so you know, if you actually click on these people, it'll show you the gear sets they're wearing. It won't give you all their stats and everything, it'll give you total power. But so you got Nika here in a Vigor set with life. You got Tristan here in an Ascension set with damage, so he's in there for raw damage. You're going to have Clarison in there with Ascension and damage. And then Revenant Merlin coming in here with accuracy plus vigor. Now I did see a video put out about putting on Focus set and stacking up attack percent increase utilizing the Focus set. And it looks like they put these 3 characters in the Focus set to get those extra attack stats. And then they have Nico over here in a Unity set, also increasing attack and defense for the rest of the battle, which in a fight this long is actually really good. The one thing to keep in mind with that Focus set is you do have to land a buff on your team for that to stack, at least from what I remember. So if I'm trying to remember Clarison, if she's actually putting buffs on the team or not. I know she drops the defense down debuff, but I don't know if she's actually buffing your team. She might actually have that on her A2 maybe. But ultimately, to get that Focus set to work, the champion themselves has to buff your team in some way, and then it'll stack that 40% attack increase on your champions. And as we jump over to Gilroy and take a peek at what he's got going on with his Storm Relic specifically, on his A3, he's got this attack that ignores 15% defense. And then it does have this recovery disruption. Now, the recovery disruption I don't think is a big win. It's not going to do anything for Ciaran, as far as I don't think he does any heals on himself. But the 15% ignore of defense is going to be a pretty big win. And then as you book that up, he's going to do more and more damage as well. So that's going to be pretty good. And then on his A2, he also has a chance to put the crit rate increase 3 on, which will probably guarantee the fact you're critting every time. And then also attack speed increase, and then charges his attack gauge. So you're probably running back and forth between these two abilities, because once he runs his A2, he's 60% charged back up to run his A3. So that'd be my best guess, although I have not run him, so I don't know. On his passives, his third passive is dealing with healing decay, which is going to be where it turns all the heals into damage. So that's not really going to do anything for Ciaran there. And then on the A2, I think we're still in that same spot of just charging vigor. I mean, obviously it'd be nice, but I don't think it's necessary. But on the A1 here, on each bull's favorite ally, he's doing attack increase 2, so that'll affect him. I'm trying to think who else is a bull in that team. We'll have to take a peek at that to see if that's affecting anybody else. But you are getting this crit strike damage increase by 2 turns, and that is going to be on himself as well. So that's going to do a great job as far as just really stacking the damage that he's doing. And then jumping over to his chivalries, I think Chivalry 8 is going to be a requirement here. At the start of battle, he has a 100% chance to grant each ally acidic humors. And what that's doing is you actually get an extra hit for damage if the enemy has recovery disruption. So all that recovery disruption we were talking about, where I was talking about it being irrelevant, the relevance is it's going to allow all of your champions to hit an extra time and do more damage, including himself. And then also all the extra stats you're getting along the way with the extra attack on each of these guys. He's just going to be doing a lot of damage, and in an ascension set and a damage set, that's really what he's there to do. Probably rolling between that A2 and that A3, making sure that Ciaran keeps that recovery disruption up, even though he doesn't heal himself. Is just going to allow everybody to do more damage throughout the entire fight. The other interesting part of this is with Revenant Merlin, when you're running a Storm attacker, they're going to do extra damage on Frost enemies. So having your Storm folks coming in is going to be a big win. I just noticed this is probably one of the first times I've seen Storm Nika actually be used somewhere, which is kind of interesting. So I'd be interested in looking into that, but knowing that the Frost Relic works, and obviously works well, I'd probably go this route because I already have the Frost Relic built, so I probably wouldn't spend the time to build the Storm Relic. But there might be something in there that helps this team be a little more functional, utilizing Tristan instead of Gilroy. This was one that I actually thought about early on. Was he puts a lot of buffs on himself, so bringing in Sarah as your healer could be a great way to kind of disrupt some of those buffs and slow him down and bring his attack down and so forth. So here's a team that found great success using Sarah instead of Nika. Again, using completely Storm-based teams, and again coming that Storm Gilroy. The other thing I was noticing on Clarison was they're using Storm Clarison, but she doesn't bring the defense down that she brings with her Flame Relic. But she does on her A2 have this this chance for critical strike resistance decrease. It's the small version for 3 turns, but that may actually bring extra damage comparable to having defense down potentially. I'm not entirely sure how that plays out, but that might be what you're spamming with your Clarison. That might be a win in the Vigor side where you're only using her A2 instead of her A3. Alright, so I'm a bonehead. On her passive 2 here, she's going to be, when using skill 3, she has that chance to inflict the defense down as well as the evasion rate decrease. So that's where you're going to want to be spamming her A3. On her Flame Relic, she also has a chance to land defense decrease with each of the 3 hits, so you can kind of stack them up. But I think you can only get a stack of 2 of those at a time anyway, I believe. I don't know that I've ever seen more than that. Now I'm thinking about it, I haven't really paid attention. Maybe they do stack more than that. But if you're running the Storm Relic, you would be spamming the A3 here and actually getting the evasion rate decrease for 4 turns, but this is probably just going to be a very hard-hitting ability, and then with that passive coming in to put the decreased defense on, probably be the way to go. That being said, I would actually try the A2 and maybe alternate between them just to see if this critical strike resistance actually increases the damage that is being dealt, because then it might make sense to go back and forth between them. But I think you are going to want to do that A3 just to make sure that you're getting that defense down. And from there, assuming you're running this team here as well as this team, you would not have Nika available on this team here, so you're going to be probably bringing in Turin instead. It's a positive affinity choice, so it works out great. It looks like Frost Morgan tends to be the way to go. But I think on Talos, I'd probably be running a Caliburn Arthur as your lead for that extra damage, going on there and spamming his A2. With Morgan on the Frost Relic, I'd probably be spamming her A2, although on her A3, she does do an attack increase for the entire team. So it might be something where maybe you alternate between the two, or every third you drop in an A3 just to get a little extra attack power going on Arthur there. But that'd be something I would probably play with and see what works best in that space, because I could see all that having a potential. Turn, you're going to be spamming her A3, and then I think a flame damage dealer would be your next spot here. So whether that's Iwurit, probably spamming the A2, or you're bringing in a Flame Tristan, spamming his A3. The nice thing with Talos is he's a single target, so his random 8 hitter with his Flame Relic is going to hit Talos 8 times every time, which is going to be pretty big. But you can see we've seen some success here with Iwurit as well. But I think that would be the move that I would be moving forward with, assuming we did the other teams the way they are. So I hope that covered the request you asked for in the comments below. I kind of struggled to really go through and do this because I don't have all of the relics and I don't have them all leveled up and I don't have all the chivalries. But the best I could tell you is what I think and how I think it'll work. Based on what I know from reading the kits. But I will tell you, the kits in King Arthur are pretty complex, and sometimes they don't exactly function the way that you read them on paper. And until you see them in action, you don't really know exactly how they're working. So hopefully that was helpful. Before we check out, let's see if we got any goodies to pull. We got these guys here. We don't have a 10-pack. We got almost nothing on the account. Well, we'll go ahead and pull these 4 relics and see if we get anything luckier. I think the best you can get is an actual rare relic. It was a flame relic, but it wasn't Bodwin, so it'll be tokens for the shard shop. But I think that's about what I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, the reset. It sounds like we might have some cool stuff going on, so look forward to covering that and kind of seeing what comes into the game. But until then, I appreciate you hanging out with me all the way to the end, and I look forward to seeing you next time.